tayo. Pero unahin ko 'tong topic na 'to, challenges in governance. Kasi, why? It's important na, of course, on hindsight, we understand what good governance may look like. Lahat tayo, meron tayong sariling vision, mission, impressions of what good governance look like. But regardless, kahit iba-ibang klaseng good governance yan, there's always challenges. There will always be challenges. Okay? Especially in the application of social responsibility. Saan ba tayo kailangan maging responsable in society? Yung sa jurisdiction lang ba natin, or should we try to extend our services? I'm saying neither wrong, nothing right. Pero what is common is that we do face challenge in uh, governance. Yun na nga. Because ito unahin natin because in our minds, yes, may bigger picture na tayo yan. And if we do understand the challenges, hopefully ma-change yung ating mindset, yung ating attitudes, yung ating beliefs, and how they are influencing our experiences. So by looking at the challenges, we might think of reasons it's hard to do. We might also think of reasons that we can do it. All right. So here's a quick statistics of the challenges of good governance as of 2024. Siyempre, researcher ako. All right. So in a survey of more than 10,000 organizations, challenges in good governance can relate to, okay, leadership daw. 90% of the respondents said that. Responsibility. All right. Transparency, trust, and participation. So, kaya ako sinimulan yung topic na to when it comes to that. So, when it comes to leadership, right? Sabi nga ni Ralph Waldo Emerson, the speed of a leader determines the rate of the pack. Failing leader slows everything down. So, a bad leader can bring the bad out of good people. Sabi nga nila, one rotten tomato could spoil the entire bunch. And weak leadership becomes a problem when it comes to good governance kasi with weak leadership, ineffective decision making, and the inability to inspire teams happen. Sometimes may mga authoritarian tendencies, yung talaga yung leader nagpapaka-bossing, over-centralized, leading to exclusion of others na siya na lang yung masusunod. And also ethical failures when we talk about self-interest that can also damage credibility. Responsibility being one of the challenges. Sabi nga ni Theodore Roosevelt that no one can escape responsibility. No one can escape responsibility. It will either shape us or break us. So, would you rather be shaped by a challenging responsibility that you didn't choose, but in the end would shape you properly? Or, be broken by an easy responsibility that you choose to do kasi you choose to hang on to the comfort zones, cherry pick. And responsibility becomes a challenge because of avoidance of accountability. Sometimes na may mga umiiwas talaga sa responsibility. If not, they pass the blame to avoid the consequences of their actions. Uneven delegations in distributing responsibilities. Minsan mas maraming trabaho ang nabibigay sa ibang tao kumpara sa iba. Di na check and balance. And that's a challenge. And also lack of commitment, failure to meet obligations consistently. So the third one is about transparency. Sabi nga ni Thomas Jefferson that honesty is the first chapter in the book of wisdom. Honesty is the first chapter in the book of wisdom. So regardless na kahit genius ka, of your effectiveness, kahit matalino ka, as long as you're lying, everything else leads to ruin. And in the end, your genius, regardless of how sound it is, when it's all revealed, it all goes back to you. So transparency or the lack of it becomes an issue in good governance dahil lack of openness in the process, in decisions, di sinasabi. Insufficient communication is also a lack of transparency. Na kung hindi na share yung information sa mga stakeholders kasi bad news ba or maybe may interest kung saan may nagaling yung communication. Sometimes, systems are just complicated na yung message hindi na ipapasa. Kung pass the message ba, dahil komplikado, hindi mo maibigay from point A to point Z, pupunta pa siya kung saan. So, part din yun, yung sistema of disseminating the information. Fourth one is trust. Of course, trust is very influential, lalo na sa good governance. Uh, Someone said that uh, trust takes years to build and seconds to break. Di ba? Ano yun? Tiwala, parang tsokolate, pag natunaw na, mukha ng tae. Parang gano'n naman talaga yan eh. Okay? So, are you making or breaking trust of your people? Okay? As I mentioned, trust is the chains that puts everything together in your governance. And if it's the chain and trust is the weakest link, pwedeng maputol dahil walang tiwala kahit gaano kaganda yung isang bagay sa dalawa, yung nagtutulungan, kung ang pangit naman na nakakonekta sa kanila, kinakalawang na, ay masisira din yan. Broken promises. So, yun na nga, di ba? Failure to deliver on commitments, of course, erodes stakeholder confidence. Siyempre, trust pwedeng mawala ng iglap, pwede ring dahan-dahan din, dahan-dahan nasisira tulad din ng kalawang, especially kung hindi mo na-deliver, lalo na yung mga maliliit na bagay. Yung mga maliliit na bagay na yan, in the end, kung mag-accumulate ay magiging malaking bagay. Historical failures nga, di ba? Past mismanagement as evidences, creating skepticism, yung mga tao hindi na nagtitiwala kasi hindi naman nagagawa. Kahit yung puso mo nasa tamang lugar, pero kung hindi mo naman kayang gawin, di ba? Nakakasira din ng nakakasira din ng tiwala. Perceived biases, of course, that appears to favor certain groups and others. And this one, the fifth, na hindi ko na lang dinagdag doon sa apat natin, pero also important is participation. Sabi nga ni Desmond Tutu that the best decisions are made when every voice is heard. Right? The best decisions are made when every voice is heard. Accountability and participation. Kasi without participation, without hearing the voice of participation, when you fail as one leader, failure speaks louder. Mas maingay ang tunog ng failure kung hindi mo sinama ang ibang stakeholder. Kung lahat ng desisyon, ikaw lang ang gumawa, in the end, ikaw lang ang aako. So with the help of participation, democratic, representative, laissez-faire, if you want to, best decisions, they become better with participation. Kasi who knows, baka mas maganda yung ideya ng subordinate mo. Masyado lang siguro mataas ang yabang mo na ayaw mo makinig. Pero importante na ilagay natin ng participation. And the lack of participation becomes a challenge in organization, right? Kasi because of stakeholder exclusion, hindi sila sinasama sa madaling salita. Mapapasali na lang sila pagdating na nung mismong ganap, nung mismong event. Oh, di kami na-inform na may ganito pala, di ba? No, key groups are not involved in decision-making processes. Limited public engagement, syempre hindi nila feel na narinig sila. So kahit para sa kanila to, pero in the planning phase, kung hindi naman sila na-inform o naisama, parang wala din para sa kanila. Diba? Hindi nila ma-appreciate yung nangyari. And also it shows cultural barriers. Kasi kung hindi ka nag-participate, only the in-group is responsible. Wala tayong boses sa out-group, right? Mapapansin natin na may mga differences, may mga biases, may mga difference in values and communication styles, hindering collaboration. So, looking at these five, may maidadagdag pa kaya kayong isa? Dalawa? Anyone? Tignan nyo itong lima. May madadagdag pa kaya kayong isa o dalawa? Again, walang tama, walang mali. Based on experience?
Communication sana, sir. Kaso parang pasok siya doon sa participation.
Also, and also in transparency. Ano pa kaya? Aside from communication. Last two. Para makamove on tayo. Anyone? In your life, sa buhay nyo, tinagalog ko lang. In your life, ano kaya yung mga naging challenges nyo bilang leader or being member in a group na naging hindrance para maging effective kayo aside from these? Pwede siyang maging technical, pwede siyang maging, pwede rin maging emotional if you want to. Anyone? Pwede rin.
Availability, sir.
Availability. Yeah, that's also
Availability.
one. Yes.
Kasi hindi naman sa lahat ng bagay, ay hindi naman sa lahat ng oras, tama? Available
Mm-mm.
ka sa pagdating sa
Oo.
ganong, parang ganon.
Yes. Mga bagay na biglaan din hindi ka available, which is also true kasi we as human beings, we belong in many complex organization. Inequality, yes, that's also one, di ba? So kahit na member tayo ng ganitong klaseng grupo, we're also members of other groups. And of course, if we try to juggle everything, everything will fall. Diba? We try to focus on one thing at a time for us to be very effective. So we're not always available. Diba? And it also falls in the aspect of responsibility. So, I'm not giving pass for anyone na hindi available. Wala, busy ako, ganun, ganun eh. Diba? Pero it does happen. It does happen. Also, inequality. Paano mo nasabing inequality, sir? Sino ba nagsabi ng inequality? Sir
Ako, sir.
Raymond. Yes, sir. Bakit inequality?
May pagkakataon kasi, sir, na yun nga, may mga bias na mga boss, gano'n. May
Hmm.
favoritism.
Hmm. Di ba? Na-experience mo yun?
Parang.
Hindi ka
Opo.
sure. Hindi ka sure.
Hindi lang
Pinapractice
sa
mo ba?
work. Hindi lang
Sa
sa
lahat.
work, sa mga friendship din, mga ganun.
Sa lahat
Marami
yan.
naman.
Sa lahat yan. The moment that you belong in an organization, there will always be a favorite and a least favorite dahil maraming tao. And of course, may mga biases lahat ng mga tao, which is normal. Tandaan nyo, in a group of 10, there will always be an in-group and an out-group. What is the in-group? In-group is sila yung samahan na mas marami kaysa sa iba. May mga sa 10, baka may 6 na may sariling opinion kumpara sa 4. And even though they agree, right, they may agree on surface level, they may talk behind each other's back. And you know what? I'm not trying to judge anyone. It does happen. Nangyayari talaga yun. Basic human function natin yun eh. To secure our self-interest out of survival. It's a survival mechanism din. So yung sinabi mo na inequality, favoritism, maybe a leader has favoritism because of his self-interest. Diba? Baka pag itong ano na to, tingin ko masyadong magaling to, baka in the end, mapalitan ako, ganun-ganun. It does happen, right? And if we know that it happens, may VIP treatment. Yes, it does happen. Depende na sa agenda. Diba? Baka masyadong maganda to, cute to, di ba? Kaya may VIP treatment. O masyadong snappy ba kung sa amin sa pagiging sundalo, di ba? We always, leaders in particular have these types of biases kasi, as I mentioned, it works for their self-interest. And there, going back to very primal, survival. Of course, survival ng mga sinaunang panahon yan. Pero yung parte ng utak natin which dictates survival, the amygdala, the fight or flight response is always there without us being conscious. Diba? Biglaan, makakaramdam tayo ng galit, makakaramdam tayo ng takot without us even processing it. It takes us a couple of seconds bago natin ma-process na, uy, relax lang. Because that is an old survival mechanism and favoritism also happens with that. Alright? So, yun lang. It's part of that. And what's the remedy to that? Perhaps there's no biological remedy, pero there's always being aware. Di ba? Bago tayo magsalita in response, tigil muna tayo kahit 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Allow our higher order brain, the neocortex, itong mas malaking parte ng utak natin, which tells us no in instances that tell us to go, to work muna. Am I being biased ba? Am I being inequitable when it comes to that? And I hope the leaders that we do shape, especially kayo, kasi ako talaga, in this job that I'm doing, as I mentioned, I'm doing this out of service. My new renewed mission in life as of 2005 is to make leaders out of everyone. Gusto ko na pagkatapos ng itong maliit na interaction natin na makatulong ito sa estado na kayo maging leaders din out of your own field. Because in the future, gusto ko na kayo maging business owners, maging manager. And us knowing the challenges of good governance is one step to be aware. Maayos ba natin lahat to in this course? I doubt it. Pero awareness is always the first step in any change. Agree ba kayo doon? Agree kayo doon? Siyempre, agree kayo. Dapat. Joke lang. Ayan. Sige. Alright, so moving on. Corruption. Corruption. As I mentioned, the challenges in good governance, it does not happen overnight. Corruption happens internally, okay? And then externally. Sinabi ko din that one rotten tomato can corrupt the bunch. One good leader turned bad can change a nation. Na-experience natin yan bilang Pilipino. Hindi na lang ako mag-name drop. Alright? Uh, well, of course, tayo bilang society, people, we don't put corrupt people in power willingly. Boboto ba tayo ng taong alam natin na corrupt? No. Will you intentionally vote someone that will take your money? Of course, we don't do that. It's a fact that we choose good people as leader. But this is also true. Good people can change, right? Or good people na akala natin mabuti pala were lying in the first place. Diba? Sabi na nga nila na absolute power corrupts absolutely. Diba? Uh, there will be this wolf in sheep's clothing that would slaughter your flock. Nangyayari din yan eh. Yung mga napag-usapan natin na 5 key issues, they spur out of corruption. What is corruption? Corruption is the abuse of power or position for personal gain. All right, that's corruption. Uh, People placed in power have agendas, definitely, di ba? For example, ang tao ba na gumastos ng 100 milyon sa eleksyon would likely see it as an investment? Gumastos ka ng 100 milyon, ano yun? Charity work? Of course, may return yan. May ROI yan. Totoo naman, di ba? For more money. Again, that we never know. People placed in power, aside from having agendas, they have ambition. As I mentioned, absolute power corrupts absolutely and will lose the power to fulfill their desires, right? May ambition, and ambition is normal. Ambition is a common it's a human trait. But getting to our ambitions to corrupted means is a different story. People placed in power have insecurities. Siyempre, pag nandun ka na sa posisyon, and may use their power to keep their followers under them, di ba? Para yung mga walang aangat sa kanila, and may also use their power to gain higher stature by pulling people down, ba? Keeping people down and pulling others down. And lastly, people in power. Again, I'm not generalizing. Some people in power may be good at the beginning, but are psychologically influenced by the situation. Naiiba ang sitwasyon that sometimes even a good person could become bad when placed in the right environment. Diba? Kahit ang isang mabuting tao, pag nilagay mo yan sa 100 na talagang corrupt din talaga, hoping that one person will not change, mas mataas ang chances na yung tao na yan magbago din naman. Now, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but that's a reality of life. Environment change people, pero a person can also change the environment, right? So it depends upon the psychological upbringing of that person and the characteristics. And it just so happen na hindi lahat ng tao, leaders, are resilient and resistant or faithful or responsible enough to take that. So let's look at corruption at 3 psychological explanations. So papasok naman tayo sa psychology, di ba? Itong kurso na to, hindi lang public ad, may psychology din, di ba? Sige. So let's try to figure out why good people, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt na good sila to begin with, why they turn corrupt and good people become bad. Corrupt na lang, okay, in this regard. Number 1 is moral disengagement or cognitive dissonance. So under this, everyone does it. Sabi sa kanila, di ba? Makita mo yung kalakaran, pagtagal, makita mo na ito pala yung normal pala na magtago ng mga resulta, normal talaga na magpalit-palit na gano'n, that even a good person, mapalitan yung paraan niya ng what is good no right. It does happen and it can happen. This everyone does it. This excuses normalized corruption, but suggesting na corruption is a common practice, so there's nothing wrong with participating. Saan ba natin makikita to? Sa Enron. Kung familiar kayo sa case ng Enron, it's a multi-billion dollar business in America na tawag dito, na bumagsak dahil meron silang falsified accounting practices. Now, yung mga accountants na pinasok nila, initially alam nila na mali yun, changing, pero dahil nakita nila yung mga seniority, ganun din naman ang ginagawa, eventually they thought that everyone does it, right? So, they did it. Another excuse is, it's for the greater good daw. Pag may ginawa sila na hindi totoo, na falsified, it's for the greater good. And it's true that individuals can justify their corrupt behavior by claiming it's necessary for a higher purpose for the benefit of the others. Diba? Sabi nga nila, the ends justify the means. I don't know what I could say about that, but it does happen in some cases. And if it becomes common practice na it's for the greater good, maybe all the things that you'll do in the future is for the greater good. Who's good? They're good or you're good? Diba? Sige, that's part of it. Another one is about power and control. With power and control, according to them, psychology, iniisip ng isang leader, person in charge, that I deserve it. Deserve niya. Deserve niya na mapili ito, makuha itong ganitong bagay. And when you say you deserve it, syempre, hindi lang biglaan yan. May mga justifications yan. May mga experienced person na to in the past. And it does happen, especially a person who's been oppressed, di ba? Oppressed, na nasaktan in the past, na repressed, and all those things, repressed, oppressed, depressed, di ba? And when you give them power, especially if that were not processed correctly, nandun yung mentality that I deserve it. I deserve this, they deserve that. People in position of power may feel entitled, di ba, to certain perks or benefits, believing that their status or contributions justify their unethical actions, just like bribery and misusing resources. Another one with this one is, sinasabi nila na it's the only way to get ahead. Ito yung kailangan natin gawin para mauna tayo, lalo na sa mga organizations when it comes to competition, right? And when corruption is normalized, people may feel that engaging in it is the only way to succeed and advance their careers. Changing numbers in the books, di ba? Dagdag bawas sa madaling salita. In a sense na for an organization, para maintain nila yung power and control. Of course, a good man, hindi siya bibigay ng biglaan. A good person, a good man or woman, a good leader, hindi siya bibigay overnight like that. Pero if you surround them with those types of situations, sometimes even the best of us may fall. Now, look, ako, naniniwala pa rin ako that there's always the best in people. Yes, it's true that a good person may turn bad, but I'm also a believer that a bad person would turn good, right? So the third one is social influence and conformity. Sabi nila na it's just how things are done. Diba? Ma-expose ka sa kalakaran ng pagtagal, ma-realize mo na ganito lang talaga ang kalakaran. People often conform to local or organizational norms even when those norms are unethical. Especially pag isang bagito, ay bago ka sa na-experience mo yung mga corruption, gusto ko ng pagbabago. Ako yung tao na magsisimula ng pagbabago. Tapos pag sinubukan mong kalampagin ang mga tao na nasa secure na position, in the end, sila magpapatumba sa'yo. Pag pinatumba mo sila, sila yan ang magpapatumba sa'yo in the end. So, sometimes even a good person, they might just hold to saying that this is just how things are done. And it's a sad truth, lalo na sa Pilipinas. Because sometimes in organization, wala yung transparency, wala din yung accountability. So, one person who tries to do good, napapatumba sila. Another one is, if I don't do it, someone else will. Itong rationalization na to comes from the belief that eventually in organizations, corruption is inevitable and failing to participate will only result to being left behind. So, this is true that corruption can happen both externally and it could happen internally, right? Some people are easily corruptible, sad to say. Some bad environments bring out the worst out of the worst. Yung grabe sa grabe na talaga. So it's like a slow unseen poison if you think everything is okay with just the right trigger, everything falls through. So that's corruption. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, especially kung walang check and balance. Kung lahat ng kapangyarihan na yan ay binigay sa isang tao lang, sa isang tao na hindi competent, hindi capable, hindi rin confident. So it's our job as followers to select the right people in power and also make sure na napapaligiran sila with the right people who could support that. Diba? So, yeah, yun. Corruption at a psychological level. May mga idadagdag pa ba kayo when it comes to corruption? Pananaw nyo sa mga public leaders natin. Ano kaya yung mga dahilan bakit sila nako-corrupt? Ano pa
Money.
dalawa? Money. O sige, bakit money?
Kasi po, hindi naman po sila gagawa ng hindi maganda kung hindi ba dahil sa pera.
That's true. Naniniwala ka din ba na ang election campaign ay parang investment din na walang willing gumastos ng 100 milyon without expecting something in return?
Yes po.
Is this a basic mathematical fact? Not unless trilyonary itong tao to na ganun lang ang election. Ambition ba? Also money. Anyone else? Yes, Sir Andrew? Sabi mo. Ano na? Hindi ko mabasa eh. Pakisabi? Sir Andrew?
Sabi nila sir kapag bago ka sa kongreso at di ka magnanakaw katulad nila, hindi ka nila i-entertainin tapos gagawa sila ng paraan para mapatalsik ka.
Ay, nako.
Kasi malalaman kasi anong tawag dito? Susuplong mo sila eh.
Diba? Pwede
Kaya
rin yun,
yun.
diba? O nga. Ikaw yung bagito na masyadong bibo, diba? Masyado, gusto ko ng pagbabago, ganito. Gusto parang, pag kinalampag mo yung hawla, babalikan ka din nila, diba? And it does happen. Naniniwala ako na change can happen, pero it will not happen over one year. Maybe in a decade when generations change. So, baka masyado ng crystallize yung mentality na sa Pilipinas, corrupt tayo eh. Kung ganun ang mindset natin, ang tao, iniisip nila na corrupt ang official. Ang official, iniisip nila na corrupt yung mga kasama nila. Diba? So, it's what we need. I'm saying this, wala akong balak sa sa tanan ng track record ko sa lahat ng mga nagawa ko sa buhay, wala akong balak pumasok sa public sa tawag dito sa politika. Pero naniniwala na ako na it will take a generation of positive culture change para maiba yung paraan, maiba yung tingin natin sa ating politika. Looking at the two nations with the lowest corruption, ano ba yung secret nila? This is just offhand. They make sure yung people in the government position always see their position as a privilege to serve, not to gain money, pero to serve other people. Yes, Sir Rian.
Share ko lang po, about sa corruption po, para po sa akin is, yung corruption is parang, tawag ito, over the world po. Kumbaga, katulad po sa halimbawa po sa Amerika, like, siguro may corruption po nangyayari, may corruption po nangyayari, like, may mga, may official na, na politiko na, nagnanakaw din. Kaso, nangyayari lang po siguro, kaya hindi siguro, hindi masyado uma-effect doon sa, nila, sa bansa po nila is, yung mga ninanakaw nila is, nakapagnakaw sila, tawag ito, nang hindi lang po uma-effect doon sa bansa po nila kasi mayaman po yung bansa nila. Di tulad po dito sa Pilipinas na kapag nagkurap po yung isang politiko is mararamdaman po kasi baga mahirap lang po kasing bansa natin. Parang ganun po sir. Ganun din ka.
That can also be true, maliit na bagay. Pero saan ba nanggagaling ang malaking bagay? Sa maliit na bagay, di ba? Pag ang isang Pag kung alam mo na kaya mong magpuslit ng piso, baka sa susunod na araw, 5 piso mo. Yung 5 piso mo, 500. Siyempre, natututunan din nila yung sistema. So, yes, you're correct. May mga, I believe na imposibleng walang corrupt na tao in an organization. There are no perfect organizations, just like there are no perfect people, right? Even good people have tendencies of acting corrupt, but it doesn't mean that they do. No, it's a basic human nature, lalo na pag survival. You wake up feeling na parang mawawala ka na ng resources, bukas mawawala na lahat ng pagmamayari mo. Yung iba, kakapit sa patalim. Kung di man kapit sa patalim, pag feel nila na ano na kung wala na tayo doon sa ganong klaseng survival mechanism, naging behavior na siya, naging ano na siya, a type of an intelligent way of getting money upper hand, it becomes a basic thing, right? So I do believe that 1 out of 10 people, di ba, ang ano pa nga ng statistics ko 1 out of 10 people may antisocial tendencies talaga. At yung mga ganitong tao, na alam nila, nakikita sila pag pumasok sila sa politika, will try to, change their facade and get there and do their corruptive practice. And it just so happened that 1 out of 10 people, magaling, magsinungaling, kaya hindi sila nahuhuli. So it's part of that. And what's sad is that one bad one bad tomato could corrupt the bunch. One good track record, tapos may isang tao lang na mali, nagkamali, doing mali, na ngayon na natin nalaman, could ruin a reputation. So, yeah, it's true that corruption, it doesn't happen immediately, it happens psychologically, di ba? May mga dahilan. Of course, may mga dahilan bakit nila ginagawa yan. And I'm not trying to justify corruption. I'm not saying na tawag dito na we permit that. Pero the thing with corruption is that if you put a leader with such great influence and na-corrupt siya with the power, it could create so much mess, and that's been seen through history. Alright? Okay. So, just an example. When governance failed, going back to my message, familiar kayo with the Rwandan genocide? Familiar kayo dito? O
No
sinong,
po.
ano yun, sorry?
Hindi po.
Oh, okay. So this one is Rwandan genocide. This happened in 1994. Around, well, may dahilan bakit hindi kayo familiar kasi medyo tinago nila sa media to. Lumabas lang to noong mga mid 2000s. So this happened in Rwanda. It's a small state in Africa. May dalawang tribe, Tutsi and the Hutus. Well, nag-away sila. Yun ang gist of the story. And it led to genocide. Okay? Around 800,000 Tutsis and moderate Hutus were killed after President Juvenal, basta yun yun namatay yung presidente with an assassination. Na yun na nga, that escalate to ethical tensions. Yung mga Hutu extremists, mga militant groups, right, supported by their militias like the Interahamwe, gumamit sila ng propaganda with the help of their media nung panahon na yun, radyo nila, to incite mass killings. Sinabi nila na cockroach, mga ipis yung mga to. So isipin mo yung kahit yung common na tao, yung mga common na Hutu, na build nila yung ganong klaseng galit pagdating sa mga Tutsi na kailangan nilang mamatay. It is justified. Right? So yun na nga, may mga victims seeking refuge in churches and schools were slaughtered. If you saw the movie Hotel Rwanda, di ba? Kahit sa mismong simbahan, pinatay sila, nangyari yun. Women face brutal sexual violence. And yun na nga, despite witnessing the atrocities, kahit yung the UN and foreign powers failed to intervene sa pangyayari na yun. Why? Because people in power with personal interest with what was going on were trying to block off yung mga ganong klaseng humanitarian aid. Nahirapan i-publicize ito sa buong mundo. Isipin mo, genocide was going on and it was kept under the wraps. Imagine that, right? And the genocide ended in July 1994, yun na nga, when the Rwandan Patriotic Front, led by Paul Kagame, seized power. Nung napalit na yung nila. Right? So, yun nga, that happened, right? It was definitely a leadership failure. Bakit? Kasi over 800,000 deaths in 100 days, primarily by the Tutsis, moderate Hutus. Kasi yung presidente nila, right, assassinated and triggered the violence. Yung mga extremist leaders that were waiting to hold power in position, yung prime minister na kasunod nun, 'di ba? Nagkaroon sila ng prime minister after the president wanted to have that type of power, and with the help of militant groups and using controlled media to spread hate and entice killings. Nangyari itong massacre na to. It was kept under wrap. It's also a responsibility failure kasi akalain mo around 10,000 UN peacekeepers. Nasa ground na sila. They were not allowed to intervene or stop the violence kasi yung mga Rwandan government and local officials that participated in the killing, you know, they did their best to put UN off bay. Sila na rin, yung mga government, pinaalis nila, pinalayo nila yung UN. Dinamay din nila if they don't do that. Again, yung mga UN naman, they're not soldiers, and relief happens when there's safety. Kasi ako din, volunteer din ako before 1 year of my life as psychosocial volunteer worker. Bago mangyari yung mga ganyan, UN peacekeepers, kailangan mo nang ma-establish yung safety. And of course, with the Rwandan government threatening yung mga 10,000 UN peacekeepers, hindi sila makakapasok. And sabi nila, some certain UN leaders corroborated daw with Rwanda, kaya hindi sila nakapasok. Pero those are just speculations. There were transparency failures kasi akalain mo over 300,000 people na displaced, and 300,000 pa lang, the information about the scale of the violence was withheld. No one, well, it was happening, some people knew, but the world somehow didn't know na buo kasi may transparency failure. Rwandan government misled international bodies. Hinahide nila yung extent ng mga nangyayari. Sinasabi nila na maliit na bagay lang naman, and after the fact, na halos 1 milyon na tao yung namatay panahon na yun to cover civil unrest. And with that, mga local governments, mga malalapit, were slow to respond dahil sa misinformation. And of course, it's trust failure. It's a trust failure kasi 50% of the populations directly affected by the genocide, right? It was a betrayal of trust between the neighbors that led to begin with, it's a betrayal of trust. If you do your research when it comes to this one, bakit ba na-assassinate yung presidente nila? Kasi between the two tribes, the Hutus and the Tutsis, meron na agad na mistrust. Kaya nangyari ito. So, globally, Rwanda lost faith in international organizations and also lost faith sa kanilang katribo ba as they failed to intervene in a time. And I'm surprised na na hindi nyo alam itong pangyayari na ito. Pero I'm glad na rin we get to use this as an example for us to understand why leadership, responsibility, transparency, and trust is very important when you're trying to govern a nation, an organization, or even govern yourself. Sarili mo pa lang. Pero of course, there's lesson learned from genocide. Diba? To think about it, one person that caused genocide, one assassinated leader, si Juvenal Habyarimana. Okay, ito siya, kung kita niyo yung mouse ko. Siya yung nasa upper left, right? One prime minister na pumalit sa kanya, one military leader, si Theoneste Bagorosa, who organized the mass killings. Siya yung nasa right side, upper right side. One prime minister, right, Jean Cambana, to cover up what was going on. Siya yung nasa lower left side. And of course, they're not the only ones to be blamed kasi failed governance fostered divisions and lies and mistrust that were also done by the Intrahamwe, yung paramilitary with the help of RTML radio and even deceived members of the UN. So may that type of atrocity did not happen, just like that overnight. Leaders responsible for this have their personal agendas, and their personal agendas only were magnified because of corruption. As I mentioned, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's very unfortunate na kailangan mangyari ito nung namatay yung isang presidente. But whatever happened, of course, may lessons learned, yan. And good leaders did step up learning from what happened. So, number one is the promote unity. Yung pumalit na presidente si Paul Kagame, he played a key role in promoting national unity post-genocide through policies like the Gakaka account, the counts, courts, and reconciliation programs. Right? So, you don't need to know this at hand, but I'm just proving an example that even in the darkest of times, good people do show up. Para silang mga sa pinakamadilim na gabi, lumalabas ang makinang na bituin ba. Ayan yun, stand accountability by Agnes Binaghawo. Yan. Contributed to post-genocide reforms, improving healthcare systems and governance, emphasizing on accountability and public service. So, naging key role ang mga policies of reconciliation na hindi lang natin papabayaan yung nangyari, will make sure that the responsible people be held accountable. And not only that, hindi lang sa mga responsible people, it's also a call to improve the healthcare system, and to improve the governance, and also to improve public service. And of course, enhance cooperation. Si Kofi Annan, kung kilala niyo siya, yung former UN Secretary General, uh, though criticized for inaction, he later advocated for stronger UN peacekeeping and international responsibility in conflict zones. Mas maraming involvement na ng UN, na mas marami na silang power to step in often without the para jurisdiction, without the direct call of that nation. Pwede silang mag-step in, especially in times of emergency, pre-emergencies, diba? And yan, ensure transparency. Si Ruth de Preus, yung the former president of Switzerland, advocated for transparent governance and played a role in international diplomacy efforts to address Rwanda's post-genocide and recovery. After the fact, lumalabas yung mga transparent data. What were the causes? Gaano kadami yung nasira? Gaano kadami yung namatay? And I hope that it holds a lesson not only for Rwanda in the future, but also for other countries who may be facing civil unrest. And lastly, to foster trust. Si Bernard Kouchner, right, the former French minister, his efforts to humanitarian aid and support in rebuilding Rwanda's social trust and cohesion post-genocides were notable. Rwanda right now is considered to be one of the most peaceful country in fact, diba? Sa Rwanda, sa Rwanda, walang orphanages na, to think about it, despite what happened, because they want to make sure na yung mga bata na naiwanan ng mga magulang nila during genocides were given the chance to be part of a family. No one, they try to make sure that kahit nangyari ito sa bansa nila, there's a better future. And of course, it's gonna be hard. Pero with the circumstances that they're given, mas mahirap ang trabaho, pero mas matindi yung benefits. Alright, so again, leaders. So leaders are doomed to corruption. Maybe not, maybe yes. Pero but I'm a believer that with the right environment, with the right mindset, with the right knowledge, even bad leaders could become good leaders. And just like good leaders becoming bad leaders becoming good, it doesn't happen overnight. So, yun ang aaralin natin sa kursong ito. If we teach good people how to be better, good governance would only be good enough, but it can be great. Yun ang goal natin, great governance. Pero hindi yun yung title ng course natin. But that's one of our goals. So here's a biopsychosocial model. Kung familiar kayo, we're gonna use this that I created if you're a leader, a follower, a student, or a parent. Kasi technically, kung magulang kayo, kasama niyo yung mga anak niyo, that's already an organization that you could consider this. Sa biological aspect, neurobiology training, simple lang na i-educate natin ang mga tao ano yung mga rewards on making the right decision and ano yung magiging punishment when it comes to corruption. Impulse control, lalo na kung leader tayo at we're managing subordinates, we train leaders and followers how to manage stress kasi often bad decisions happen on the worst conditions of our life. Pag puyat, pag pagod, pag ano pa ba, pag stress, dun lumalabas yun. Pag ano talaga, lalo na kung high pressure situations. If we could train people to understand these physiological feelings bago pa lang sila magsimula, we could help them train their impulse. Train their impulse. So again, they won't be impulsive and they would be more mindful. Mindful practices, again, we help leaders develop self-awareness to make ethical and reflective decision. Ano ba yung benefit of withholding your desires na maghintay ng onte, maghintay ka ng onte, delayed gratification, kung mindful tayo sa ganon, we may not get the reward now, pero in the future, mas malaki yung atin i-reap, especially if we're in a leadership position. Psychological aspect, enhancing moral decision, ayan, mga ethical workshops. You don't have to do this, maybe you could participate, but maybe in the future it could be one of your projects. We teach leaders about the long-term impacts of an ethical decision. Yun na nga irony din, alam na nga natin pag ano alam na nga natin pag ginawa natin to may consequences, pero bakit pa rin natin ginagawa? Because it could be out of impulse, out of the lack of mindfulness, or without understanding our situation. CBT training, cognitive behavioral training, we help leaders challenge rationalizations and strengthen ethical thinking. We try to help them make the connection of A, B, and C. Ibig sabihin, ano ba yung actions, ano ba yung behaviors, ano ba yung consequences. So we train them to think forward. Moral reflection, we encourage leaders and ourselves to reflect on their actions and empathize with others. Importante yan. We try to put empathy as a skill. Sabi nga nila, pagiging empathy, is it a feature? No, it's a trainable skill. The more that we try to understand other people, the more that we walk on their shoes, not step on their shoes, the more we walk on other people's shoes, the more we understand kung saan sila nanggagaling, kung ano yung perspective nila. And that type of skill doesn't happen immediately. It takes practice na para intindihin ko saan sila nanggagaling. Sabi na nga nila sabi ni Stephen Covey, one of my favorite writer, na seek first to understand than to be understood. And lastly, social aspect, strengthening accountability and transparency for leaders. Reinforce ethical standards within team and organization. Talagang importante na malaman nila kung ano yung ethical standards, ano yung inaasahan, ano yung mangyayari, ano yung reward pag ginawa nila. Leadership example, importante na we always have to have models. Sino ba yung leader na gagayahin natin? Sino ba yung magiging guide natin, magiging North Star natin? Example, si Jesus. What would Jesus do? Just for an example. And we encourage leaders to model ethical behaviors from mga leaders na pinipili nila. And this one, lastly, whistleblower programs. We provide secure channels for reporting corruptions. Sa government natin, I hope na inaano natin yan, na ini-implement natin yan. If someone sees corruptive action, that they be given the right opportunity and channels para mag-report. Ako part of my volunteering work dati in 2014, naging part ako ng DOJ sa psychosocial program. Nagsa-psychosocial stress management ako sa mga nakatago sa mga mga detainee ng DOJ, yung mga whistleblowers. Siyempre nasi-stress din yun kasi isang taon sila lang sa isang bahay with their security. Masi-stress din, including the security people. So, yun na nga, ang ginagawa ko, tinutulungan ko sila magpadaloy, me and some people from Ateneo de Manila. So, these are very important. Okay? Alright, so good governance start with you. Good governance and social responsibility is a course-long effort kasi yun ang title ng ating course. But developing its core principles, itong pinag-usapan natin apat, is a lifelong one. And I hope na by the end of this course, sana matagpuan nyo saan kayo mahina at ma-realize nyo kung saan pa may room for improvement. Ma-realize nyo din kung saan kayo malakas at ma-realize nyo din kung paano nyo may tuturo yung kalakasan nyo. So, let's do an activity. Ito na lang siguro. So, among the four, kahit sa chat nyo na lang ilagay. Lagyan nyo na lang sa chat. Okay, among the four, ano sa tingin nyo yung pinaka-importante when it comes to good governance? Lagyan nyo na lang sa chat. Ito na nga pala magiging attendance. Kaya magano kayo. Trust. I expect everyone to answer. Mhm. Mhm. Responsibility. Ano pa? Guys, attendance nyo to sagutin nyo. Anong pinaka-importante dito? Mhm. 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 Okay, responsibility. Mhm. Attendance to guys. I'm giving you the time. Anong pinaka-importante dito? Mhm. Ilan na ba to? Bilangin ko 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Kunti pa. Come on guys, answer. Assignment natin to. Assignment attendance natin to. Miss Jenny Menes, among all the four, ano sa tingin mo pinaka-importante when it comes to good governance and responsibility? When it comes to good governance. Yun ang attendance natin. Lagyan nyo na lang sa chat. Responsibility. Okay. So, it seems na majority is responsibility. Could someone tell me why responsibility is the most important? Give me 3. Anyone? Yung sumagot ng responsibility. Bakit responsibility ang pinaka-importante when it comes to good governance? Miss AJ, tapos si Sir Rian. Go.
Sinagot ko po yung responsibility kasi habang tumatanda po tayo or ito po, bilang po kasi estudyante, meron na po talaga kaming responsibilidad. Tapos hanggang sa lumalaki kami, nadadagdagan yung responsibilidad natin. Dun po kasi parang nasusukat kung kaya ba natin pagkatiwalaan yung sarili natin, kaya ba nating maging leader someday, or kaya ba nating humarap sa maraming tao na bilang fairness and bilang transparency. Kaya kaya nating ano yun? Kaya nating gampanan yung responsibility natin bilang isang mamamayan, bilang isang tao, bilang isang anak, bilang isang estudyante, at bilang isang nabanggit ko na po lahat pala.
Yes, exactly. Dahil yung responsibility. Sir Rian, tapos si Sir Raymond.
Inubos na ni AJ yung sagot.
Dagdagan mo pa, sige.
Responsibility po. Responsibility. Tulad po na sinabi ni AJ na bilang estudyante pa lang po kami is may responsibility na po kami. Then pagka-graduate po sa work, meron na rin pong responsibility like then napapasok yung kapag work is nagagawa mo yung responsibility mo is nagiging mo yung trust ng mga kasamaan mo sa work. Pwedeng kapag na-promote ka ng team leader, kapag nagagawa mo ang responsibility mo as a leader is magiging mo yung leadership and trust ng mga kasamaan mo. Ganun din po kapag may work ka, syempre kapag nagkaroon ka ng pamilya is may panibago ka responsibility naman. Ayun yung baga tulad po na sinabi ni Eddie na pagka tumatanda po tayo is mas nag-upward po responsibility namin, mas nadadagdagan po. Ganun ba?
That's good. Ganda pakinggan yun. Sir Raymond. Tapos si anyone else? Last two. Dagdag pa after Sir Raymond. Sir Raymond?
Yung sinagot ko, sir, responsibility.
Mhm.
Kasi kapag ginawa mo kasi yung responsibility mo as a leader, magagawa mo yung leadership. Kasama na yung transparency, yung build yung trust, transparency nga pagdating sa action, sa decision, then lahat ng good kapag sinabing responsibility, kasama yun, parang para sa akin is lahat yun good kasi kapag dating sa leadership, kapag ginawa mo yung responsibility mo, lahat ng aspect ng principle ng kasama sa good governance is magagawa mo. Kaya siya yung responsibility yung
That's
Hindi.
good to hear. Pundasyon, ayon nga sa iyo, di ba? If you're doing what you are responsible, kung anong binigay sa iyo habang nagsisimula ka pa lang naman, di ba? If you do it in a very efficient way, if you have a problem before that, you find the solution because you are responsible to do it, you can become a leader where other people also follows you. And if you do it so efficient that other people would want to know what you're doing, you can become transparent, showing how you do it. And of course, with transparency and leading other people, and the effects show what you're doing, you can also build the trust. Kasi with confidence. Kasi nakikita nila yung cause and effect of your responsibility to other people, leading them to the right way, showing them the right data that builds the trust. Ganda nun. Ganda pakinggan nun. Anyone else? Last two. Oh, ito na lang. Sige. Yung hindi sumagot na responsibility. What about trust? I think trust is trust is the second. Bakit trust? Sige. I'd like to know, Miss Rhea.
Pinili ko naman po yung trust kasi po,
Mhm.
mahirap naman po talagang mahirap naman po talagang pagkatiwalaan yung mga taong nasa paligid mo. So, yung sa iko-connect ko na lang po siya sa leadership po. Kapag, kunyari, boboto po tayo kung sino yung magiging leader ng ating bansa. Kung wala tayong tiwala sa kanya, hindi niya parang, ang tawag dito? Hindi mo siya gusto, paano bang hindi mo siya gusto kasi hindi mo nga siya binoto. So, wait lang, sir. Nawawala ako. So, yun. Kung wala tayong tiwala sa kung sino yung iboboto natin, so magiging sira na rin yung tiwala mo sa, hindi, tama.
Tama.
Tama ba?
Oo.
Naano
Tama.
ko.
Kung wala kang tiwala sa sistema,
Yan.
di ba?
Oo,
Sabaw-sabaw,
yung wala
tama.
ka sa sistema.
Tama rin, tama rin.
Yes po.
Kung hindi man
So,
tiwala
sa
sa sarili mo,
transparency
tiwala
naman,
sa sistema. Yes, Miss Rhea.
yes, sir. Then, sa transparency naman po, here yung parang may scenario na dapat hingin mo yung hingin mo yung opinions ng iba. Hindi ka magiging one-sided. Dapat maging transparency ka both sides. Nagiging mali kasi yung kwento ng isa kung hindi mo papakinggan yung isa. So, ganun. So, responsibility naman, lagi na po sinasabi natin na may tiwala po dapat tayo sa sarili natin para magagawa po natin yung mga responsibility na ina-assign sa'yo. Nagagawa mo po yung mga task, makukompleto mo po yung mga task na ma-accomplish mo yung mga task. Yun lang, sir.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Miss AJ.
Wala po, sir. Ano lang po, napindot.
Akala ko may dagdag ka eh. Sige. Tapos may isa sa inyo na sumagot ng transparency. Sir Christian, bakit transparency importante? May I know your perspective?
Uy, sir, malapit na akong bumaba, sir. Explain ko pagbaba, sir.
Oh, sige. Ilagay mo na lang sa chat, ha? Pero sige. Right. Sige. So,
Ayan, sir. Sa chat na lang.
chat mo na lang. Okay? Tapos basahin mo yung chinat mo, ha? Sige. Ingat ka sa biyahe mo. Alright. So,
Okay, thank you.
these four are both the challenges and the opportunities when it comes to good governance. And of course, good governance, as I mentioned, it doesn't happen immediately. It doesn't happen by accident. People who know their responsibility and act accordingly, right, within the right scope, within the right frame, are responsible people. They maaasahan natin sila, and when kung kaya natin silang maasahan, we give them the right task with the right job at the right time. And also when it comes to leadership, sometimes in good governance, kahit magaling ang isang tao, pero it cannot be able to lead. Again, lead, managing, or governing, it can be interchangeable, pwede siyang magkaiba. Pero there's always this component of you leading people in when it comes to good governance. Is it authoritative, sapilitan ba? Or is it participatory? I don't know. It depends upon the situation. Doon din papasok ang situational leadership. You know what type of leadership style you need to use. Now, when it comes to transparency, it's very important that you do say the truth. As I mentioned, an ounce of truth outweighs a ton of lies. So kahit masakit ito, bitter truth ito, it's always better than a sweet lie. Especially if you try to hide information and information comes back to you in the past, it may hurt you in the past organization, and it may also hurt the future organizations and their stakeholders. And lastly, trust. Trust is very important, as I mentioned, kasi yun ang pundasyon ng lahat. Trust is the chain that binds organization with each other, especially if the organization is composed of different departments. Diba? If it's not one organization, it's made of different organizations. The link between A, B, C, and D and E is trust. Sa gitna na yun. How do I know that Department A is competent to help Department B that could also help Department C? Trust yan. Trust and faith, diba? Faith is the evidence. Faith is the belief of something that you do not see. Ganun din ang trust. Alright? Yeah. Alright. So that concludes our class tonight.